After 2 rounds, it's clear that the level of competition in this series is high. To race up at the front, drivers will need to be on their A game. With Silverstone being a mix of technical corners and fast sectors, will it trip anyone up? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 3 of the Racing Edge Sim Racing series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Pekin. With me in the booth is Stefan Schlacker. And Nick Schmack as well. We can't forget about him. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Sean Ambrose. I'm just doing stellar here today, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Silverstone has been hosting racing for 7 decades now, but it's gone through a lot of changes over those years. Let's check in with our track guy to see what it looks like today. Welcome to Silverstone. Most famously known for being the first circuit to host a round of Formula One, this place has since become synonymous with British motorsports. Hosting everything from sports cars to touring cars to open wheels and even motorcycles, it's a track that fits a wide variety of vehicles. With 3 different layouts to choose from, you've got a little something for any level of racing. The longest of those layouts boasts 18 turns along 3.19 miles. That comes out to 5.13 kilometers in metrics, so it can take a bit to get around it, even in higher-powered machinery. Its main characteristics are the high-speed straights and corners and general lack of elevation change. Its most famous set of turns is most definitely the Maggots-Beckett sequence, in which anything with high downforce finds itself challenged with the rapid changes of direction. However, don't discount the first couple corners in this latest iteration of the track. Abbey and Farm often require a greatly balanced car and some serious bravery if you're side by side. Corners such as Village, Brooklyn, Stowe, and Vale see the majority of overtaking action, but in cars with less horsepower, expect the draft to offer other opportunities. The Hangar Straight is perhaps the most notorious for draft battles to erupt. All in all, this versatile racetrack located just northwest of London provides both history in its roots and action on the tarmac. The huge number of British fans that typically attend events are seldom left wanting. You can see the drivers will have to control the cars a lot better than I can control my mouth today. But Nick, you've got some important information about the track as well. Why don't you fill us in on the details today?
Yeah, we're at Silverstone today, and on the new Grand Prix circuit layout that they've got here on iRacing, Silverstone, of course, built on the old airfield by connecting the runways together. And Silverstone, that means, has always gone through several safety modifications throughout its history, leading to newer configurations. And we do have the newest configuration now in iRacing, still relatively new to a lot of these drivers. But we've got it here for us, for the drivers to use today. It is composed of 18 turns, 3.19 miles, 5.13 kilometers, that is. And, the Racing Edge Sim Racing Series League administrators wanted to pick some tracks that would be good for multi-class racing. Silverstone's certainly one of those. It's very wide, which will create for a lot of good passing, a lot of technical parts of the track, which will be interesting to see how these cars maneuver through. But also fast at the same time because everything here is flat. That's going to make the handling very challenging in a couple different areas of the track as well, Joe.
Absolutely. I suspect mechanical grip going to be a big one today. But Steph, we might have viewers who've never seen this series before. Why don't you fill us in on the race details?
Well, Joe, it shall be my pleasure. We're here at round number 3 of this 6-round series, so we are ending the first half of this series. They're driving the 2 Audis we have on the system. There's the Audi RS3 TCR and the Audi R8 GT3. Races are 30 minutes. They don't have to make any pit stops or something like that. Fixed setups, that's going to be very important, especially if you're in the Audi R8, which ties us in quite nice with the track that we just heard here from Nick, where you really have to be careful in those fast turns here in Silverstone. And most importantly, for the podium finishers of both classes, they get some cash prize as well.
And it's not just the cash prizes that are important here, but our sponsor here today. Want to put your racing skills to the test on the track? Visit racingedge.com and check out the latest listings for race cars and classic cars. From super quick McLarens to vintage Ferraris, RacingEdge.com will cater for your needs. Want to learn more about how to get into motor racing? Visit RacingEdge.com/media for more. Big thanks to Racing Edge for sponsoring this series. And right now we've got qualifying underway. Looks like Daniel Morad, one of the organizers actually of this series, who we knew was very quick today because he's got the provisional pole up at the top of the GT3 class. And then TCR's Andrew Waring right now up at the top of them.
Looks like Nick Rowland just bumped Morad off that provisional pole in the GTD class. That'll put the 43 on top of things.
Absolutely. So Morad now has to make up a little bit of time in these last few moments, but he's actually stationary on the track. I guess he's done with his 2 laps. Yes, indeed, he is. Each driver gets 2 solo laps in this qualifying effort. I'm seeing if we've got anybody else up able to potentially beat Roland. I do see Carlos Cantu, who was relatively quick in the warm-up. No, actually, he has finished his 2nd lap, so we might actually be done with the majority of our GT3s.
They do get around here much quicker than the TCR class, looking at about 15, 16 seconds quicker a lap here.
Yeah, we've seen that at the other circuits as well, Steph, that there was quite a difference between them. I do see that Stephen Jeffrey is coming around to finish his lap. He's currently in 2nd after his first run round. I wonder if he could try and take the pole away from Waring here.
Well, it sure is going to be interesting. He is right now a little bit off that, but only by about 8/10 in turtle as he now goes through Vale, which is a rather interesting corner for the TCR with all the front steering and driving that these guys have. He actually goes faster, but not too much, only improves by 1 position.
Yeah, he got bumped down to 3rd, so Shearer was temporarily ahead of him, and then he took that one back. I also see Jacob Exton coming through to finish his 2nd flying lap, the number 31. We're watching Genovese in the GT3s. He's currently in 7th. Actually, that was a good idea that we saw him on our cameras, because that 44 is just about to finish up a flying lap. Sitting in 7th. Could he crack maybe into the top 5, potentially into the top 2 rows? Let's see what he's got as he comes around Club onto the new main straight. The answer's nothing. Heading off track. It's not meant to be, I guess. Who else do we have?
Still on a fast lap. Also goes over the line right there. Didn't improve his lap, about 1/10 slower. I wonder if Kim is actually able to get past the start-finish line. He's now entering Stowe corner as we're looking at Jacob Exton in his RS3. He's going to go over the line. Did improve by quite a bit. That pushes him up into 4th place.
Will indeed take him. Looks like he's going to cross in time. This finish line, the timing line for qualifying, comes very early. So let's see. He was much faster than this in the warm-up. And there we go. That's looking a little bit better from 12th to 8th. Is that all of our qualifiers then? Do believe it is. So let's go through our starting grid for today. Nick Rowland will be on the pole with Daniel Morad starting in 2nd. Inside of row 2 as Michael Cooper in 3rd. Ethan Simeone, who's been quick all season, will be P4. Carlos Cantu starts 5th today with Alex Herrera in 6th position. Jack Genovese, who we saw not able to improve on his 2nd lap, will start from P7. Take him, on the other hand, at a big jump up to 8th. Tom Emson will be 9th, and Nicholas Latifi. Nick will be rounding out the top 10.
Alex Ellis and Giuliano Romagnolo are going to be following Latifi back on row number 6. Then it goes to Gilham Pipers and Mac Clark in the 26 car. Gavin Saunders will be rounding out the top 15 in the GT3s. And it's Maximilian Jager, Igor Bembic, and David Levine rounding out the entire GT3 field. And just a couple of, actually a few more. Sorry, Andra, Chris Regium, and Corey Lewis round out the field there for the GT3s.
In the TCRs, it is Andrew Boring who will will be starting in 22nd overall. But first in that class, Jeffrey will be lining up in 23rd or second place in his class. Zachary Shearer will be starting in third with Jacob Exton in fourth, that we have seen very late improving his lap time to jump up to there. James J.J. Ross will be starting in 5th place with Paul Brem, a GSRC regular, starting 27th overall. Curtis Fox, 28th. Christopher Bailey in 29th. And Maxwell Kittleson will be running out your top 30 of this entire field.
Daryl Timmers will be 31st, and you've got Zlad Dojcic in 32nd. He had a good run going before some problems last round. Rich Price will be 33rd, and Zachary Vanier in 34th. And you've got Jeremy Steinhausen, P35 overall, Ryan Reynard in 36th, and David Schwartz in 37th. Michael Shaughnessy starts 38th today, Michael Melvin 39th, and Brian's in 40th. Last of the drivers to put time in is Julian Carraza, and you've got a few that did not get times in: Andra, Nye, Rigium, Lewis, and Federico. Already the pace car taking off. It's a very short pace lap around here. And then Nick Rowland will have control of the field through the final few corners. Already see some drivers weaving to try and get some temperature into the tires. It's very overcast today, so not a hot track. It might take a bit to try and get the heat into them. Out of club corner, and he starts to accelerate away. Green flag is out for Nick Rowland. He might have gone a little bit too early because Morad got a good jump with him, and he's already trying to pull the slipstream, looking back and forth as they come into Abbey, swinging it now into Farm. Back left, and they start to hit the braking for Village. Morad's going to be under threat as Cooper looks to the inside. He's going to try and take second place away. It looks like he's got that one. Everybody behind them so far so good. Let's go to the TCRs.
Clean back to the TCRs, the top runners back there, just like they left.
Oh!
Andrew Waring, and we've got trouble.
Yeah, Curtis Fox overcooked his turn in on the first, or on the farm turn, but he able to get everything together. They're still continuing, and as you said, Andrew Waring still running away.
Who had some problems in GT3s as well. Levine seems to have had an off, and just thought I saw someone as well lose it through the loop. In fact, Levine's going to just come back as the drivers and the TCR leaders come through. Warren going to be the first of them. I think he'll be able to clear here through Woodcote, so hopefully that should leave them alone.
That way, looks like they're getting settled out now. Waring's got a bit of a gap over him, and even a bit of a gap for Jeffrey right behind him.
Ooh, and that's Jaeger off track, who's returning. Maximilian also going to find himself in trouble as he gets stuck in the midst of these cars, and he might have damage the way he's going very slow here.
Oh yeah, he did it for good into the outside barrier there at Cobb's Corner, about 160 kilometers an hour. He nailed that car into the barrier. He has to make some huge repairs.
So back up to the front, Nick Rowland still ahead of Cooper, who took that second place away. A little wide there at club for Ethan Simeone. That's going to give him a slow exit. You can see back there, it looks like Genovese and Herrera are going to be on the attack as they come through Abbey. Quite close enough, though, for Jack. The 44 stays put in 6th place. No change for those top 7.
Oh, and the outside of top 10, Igor Bimbic just turned himself around inside the turn 2. Didn't think he hit anyone, just a little self-spin that just comes with the aero kit, the R8 runs.
Meanwhile, got a nice battle brewing for second in the TCRs. In fact, we have a change for position in second in the TCRs. Exton gets by Jeffy, or does he? Jeffy tries to come back the long way around as they almost bang doors coming into the loop. He's got the outside, but he doesn't have the momentum, and now he's going to lose another one. Here goes Cy Andra. Nope, that's one of our GT3 cars. That's not for position. He's going to be able to leave them be, and that actually helps Exton out on the exit.
Yeah, huge weaving back and forth on the track, and now Jeffrey's under threat for another position. He's going to have to lock it up. Lots of hesitation as Zachary Shearer goes by. That's going to reel in Paulo Brem here soon.
And that will be a position this time. So Shearer up in the 3rd. as Jeffrey finds himself falling off the podium. Going up to our leaders in the GT3s. Roland has been followed closely by Michael Cooper, that number 41, just a couple car lengths back.
Saw Cooper flashing the lights there a little bit.
Trying to get into the head of Nick Roland as they come through the last few corners back to the pit straight. They start to battle. Those three behind them are not too far back. That's Morad, Cantu, and Simeone currently.
We know those three are quick too. Daniel Morad was contending for this lead just a couple of laps ago. Looks like a big run here for Cooper. Looking to the inside, not going to have the momentum there.
Still he stays with it. A little bit of a wider line coming into the loop. Is that going to help him? A nice exit as we ride on board with the yellow number 41. Could the slipstream be enough down the Wellington straight? They close in on Brooklands, but it looks like it's not quite long enough for them. So Roland will at least stay safe for the time being.
Looks like he's making Roland making him go a little bit more defensive through a couple of these turns. He's certainly, Cooper certainly got Roland looking behind him.
I don't blame him, keeping half an eye on that mirror. He's got to focus on that track ahead. So far, so good for the 43. Swinging it through the very fast Copse corner. A little bit better on entry for the number 41. That almost gives him an opportunity, but not quite enough of one. Now they come up to traffic, though. This is David Schwartz up ahead of them in the number 10. Oh, and he tries to stick it in. That's going to turn around our leader, and suddenly our leader is off track just like that. Nick Roland falls all the way to 7th.
And Morad made contact with Cooper, too. That's going to put Carlos Cantu to 2nd place now.
Take another look at that. He saw an opportunity, Nick, but it just wasn't quite there.
Yeah, 3 lanes on the track were not there, at least not when he looked. And Cooper had no choice. I mean, Roland came right in front of him.
That was disastrous for Roland. He's all the way down to 9th. Hopefully he doesn't have too much damage from that. Have to wonder if Cooper has any as well. He's still dealing with the traffic. Doisich staying out of the way as they all come through the very fast Abbey, although almost gets sideswiped by Morad.
Yeah, that worked out great for Carlos Cantu, who gets up in front of Daniel Morad. He had to get off the gas big time to not wreck Michael Cooper.
Can he do anything with Cooper now, though, that he is ahead of Daniel Morad? So your new order is Cooper leads, Cantu 2nd, Morad 3rd. Simeone is in 4th behind them. They come into Brooklands. This race going by quickly. We're almost a third of the way through. We're going to watch from Simeone's perspective, looking up at the top 3.
He is very close. He has a great view of the top 3 because he's all over the back of Daniel Morad. A little bit of a gap now, but watch here as they come into the braking zone. See how close he's able to get. Trying to reel him in. Not too much there.
And as this is happening, it sounds like things are brewing a bit down in the TCRs. Wonder if we've got time to shoot our eyes over there.
Yeah, right now TCR position 2 battle actually gets really close. That was a little bit caused by William Pipers, who went past in his Audi R8. That really did bog down Jacob Exton, who is right now still sitting in 2nd place, but this gap has closed in to covering 4 cars now of just about 1.2 seconds.
Look at the differing lines between them as well as they swing it through the Brooklands and Luffield complex. A couple very difficult corners. And as that's happening, Morad and Simeone had a little bit of side-by-side racing into Vale. Simeone might get another bite at it as they come onto the front stretch. You can see how closely he's following now. If he can withstand the wake of the car ahead through this swift set of S's to start the lap, he might have something into Village. He thinks about it. He shows his nose, but he's not quite there.
Simeone, he's got the attack. He just can't quite get around him again. Gets him tucked right up underneath that rear wing of Daniel Murad's number 70.
So tantalizingly close, but down the Wellington straight, it looks like Murad keeps him at arm's length. Not going to be quite enough of a run for him to try and attack. This has separated them slightly as well from Cantu.
It has. I'm noticing Murad seems to be a little bit better on the straightaways. Maybe
and
a little
TCR
bit more.
is side by side as well here.
Yeah, Jeffrey tried to have a little bit of a look on to the outside there of Exton, going into Cobb's Stowe corner rather. But yeah, just the thing is with these cars, the hangar straight just barely not long enough to really get a good draft in the RS3 with the turbo engines. They really need a longer straight. But Jeffrey making the best of it, at least most definitely putting the pressure onto Exton.
Oh, sending it in a lot faster into Abbey as well. Thought he was going to run into the back of that car.
And there comes Shearer to the inside now of Abbey. He might be able to take that third place away. Jeffrey also misses a little bit of a shift there. Sticks it in second gear, and there he goes. Loses that third place to Shearer.
Nice move by Zach. So can he now set his sights to Exton? Get up into second place. This is all happening far behind Waring, by the way. Andrew has got 4.5 seconds between them. See our leader, that is he on screen. Top 3 positions in each class, a reminder, are cash paying positions. So there's definitely something to fight for to be on the podium, even though they don't have real champagne to spray. Meanwhile, we jump back to Village here.
Yeah, that explains why this battle is so intense here. Daniel Murad still trying to fend off Simeone and now Alex Barrera, who has still managed to keep that gap very close in between them.
We know Murad is no slouch. He's Daytona 24 Hours champion, so he knows how to drive these cars. This very class, in fact. Oof, man, a lot of pressure there from behind as Simeone continues to work on him.
And I wouldn't look now, but only about 3 seconds behind him is Nicholas Latifi, who started back in 10th, and he is slowly closing in on him.
Latifi doing a much better job. Although, granted, he did qualify this week, I guess we should clarify, because I believe he missed out on it at Spa. Didn't get himself a decent lap. So now that he's started farther up at the front, looking at a potential podium here, we ride on board with the current F1 driver. A little bit of gap up to those ahead of him. That's Jaeger that you see running in front. He's a lap down, so that's not for position.
I'm sure Latifi would love to get Williams a home win here at Silverstone.
Absolutely. And they do have a virtual presence, especially here on iRacing, even in NASCAR, so this will be doing them proud. Meanwhile, our leaders are back onto the main straight, and while the top 2 have been staying pretty much glued in the same distance apart, 3rd and 4th have been extremely tight, nearly swapping positions a couple times. Oh, look at him close in down into Village.
Yeah, I think this might have been a little bit of traffic that helped this happen.
Simeone looks very strong on the brakes today. Not so much on the accelerator, though, as he falls back. That is, don't want to pull a Raikkonen here. That's Renard off to the grass. We've seen cars go flying, hitting bumps there off course, so he's got to be careful. Once again, down into Brooklands. Simeone just chucking that car in, but not able to make it past stick.
They're coming up on some more TCRs, too.
Speaking about TCRs there, Nick, Jeffrey just overtook Zachary Shearer going into Maggots.
And that's the second position we've seen in recent time for him to lose. So Shearer clearly is struggling a bit here, and Paulo Bream is going to try to make it one more. Uses the toe, but a cover off to the inside. Shearer makes it difficult. Passes sometimes can carry on down into Vale. Will they this time? Bream stays with it. He's close. It'll take a wild dive down to the inside, but he's not willing to risk it. He stays behind.
Oh, Michael Cooper's gone off.
Our leader
in GT3 has gone off with the help of traffic. He was trying to get around Sydney Nye and just lost it on the outside.
And it was in the exact same spot that he got into the leader before. I don't know if you believe in karma, but that's got a certain feel to it.
All of a sudden, Carlos Cantu has been promoted to the lead after starting back in 5th.
Unfortunately, Cooper's taken it into pit lane and called it a day. It's unfortunate. Cantu leading by about 2 seconds over Morad. That split things up slightly. Simeone falling back from him now.
Yeah, Simeone had a tough time getting around traffic as well. The same traffic that was in the mess for the leader, Michael Cooper.
Let's head back to 7th in this class. Roman Yolo is in quite a tussle here with Ellis, but I think Ellis might be held up. He has got a ton of traffic.
He's going to have to split him through the middle. He does.
Wow, he was within 1/10. It has now gone up to 2 seconds. That is how costly that traffic was. It was a battle before we just brought the cameras over on it. The traffic certainly made mincemeat of that. Let's head over to the TCRs because they haven't gotten a whole lot of love so far. And I'm looking down in 10th in that class. Shaughnessy and Melvin are very tight together as they come onto the old pit straight. Now with Michael Melvin coming into Cops. Oh, a little bit off the apex though. Some hesitance there, Steph, I think cost him.
Yeah, that is just the RS3 in a nutshell there. If you brake a little bit too hard and turn in at the same time, like Melvin did there, you get that wobbly sensation on the rear wheels, and that really can put you off if you are not very willing to go to the apex like Melvin was. But as you were able to see there on the onboard through Mega Specs and Jeff, he was able to just close it in once again, and he's once again at the back of Mr. Shaughnessy in front of him.
Not going to have the ability to make a pass, so let's go to 3rd in the GT3s because Herrera had to fight hard for that one with Simeone. That's worth a replay side by side from multiple corners between the number 16 and the 95.
Yeah, I think Herrera caught Simeone in a good spot. He was getting very loose.
See, it was kicking off into Stowe and then carried on into Vale. Around the outside, a power move there from Herrera.
It was incredible. They were side by side all the way back from the hangar straight. So, like you said, long time side by side.
Incredible stuff. As we continue to watch this battle on screen, it's not ended by any stretch of the imagination. Simeone may have been losing some spots, but he's eager to get him back.
Well, look who's right behind him, Joe. He's caught him. Latifi's here.
Wow, that is quite a run. And Roland is not out of it. Remember, even though he got taken out of the lead, he's about 9 seconds back from our leaders. Oof, that big dive that we saw coming out of Cops, that was Morad having to get out of the way of traffic.
Oh, and right behind them, you're able to see it on your screens. Bream and Shearer were side by side, and they just crashed.
That's the number 6 in the TCRs, yeah. Looks like Shearer came out the worst of it. That's the danger you run, Steph, trying to go too wide into that set of S's.
It is a little bit weird though, because normally in the RS3 you can quite easily go side by side there, so I wonder if there was some net code involved. We're gonna see that just now as they head side by side. The right one, the blue one, that is Paulo Bremet. He has a little bit of a wobble, and I feel like he got a little bit off-settled there because of that little wiggle he had on the brakes.
Oh, it wound up being costly for them. Brim does continue in P4. You see him coming onto the front stretch. Looking at third in the GT3s because it's still close together. Herrera and the red and black machine chased by Simeone and the red and white. Sporting very appropriate colors there, the Canadian. Oh, and balked by our leader, yeah.
Whoa.
Waring, who's going to put a little bit of a pick on Herrera that almost helped Simeone, but he struggled as well to get by. Look how close he is now, though.
Latifi's loving this. He closed in even more. He's within about 3 car lengths of those two. Simeone can't quite get it in there. So we ride on board with Nick. Canadian F1 driver giving chase. Oh, this is a great run from Simeone. He's catching up. It's going to take a brave man to send it side by side, and he's brave enough. The Canadian now to the inside and through, up into third.
Another Canadian, I think Herrera is going to need to watch out for. He's right behind him.
Oh, this is a bad place for traffic. Simeone's off. Simeone loses control, clouts the tires, and unfortunately that spectacular move all came to naught.
The danger of the R3 bit him quite heavily there. Just has to brake quite hard behind the R3 he's gonna run up, and that unsettles the car so much over the sausage curbs on the inside that it just loses the rear, spins it out right into the very little runoff area that is on the outside of Beckett's.
It's incredible just how little mistakes like that can undo such an amazing work on track. As we come back live, you can see he's got the car going again. Let's go back to Exton. Second place here under threat because Stefan Jeffrey is behind him once again.
Yeah, right now, nearly nose to tail, but this might get split up a little bit for Tom Empson in the R8, but he's actually able to get it quite nicely through. They're almost done, finish straight. Jeffrey tries to get a little bit of a run here now out of Abbey. Let's see if he's able to do that. Keeps a little bit of a narrow line through Abbey. That sets him up for second turn, but the village comes too fast and he is not able to do anything.
A little wide at that first apex from Exton, but that'll give him the inside for the next corner. This could make the difference right here. Jeffrey trying to get the launch, and I'd say he's got a decent one. As they fly onto the Wellington straight. It's a long one, but I don't think it's quite long enough, and indeed the 249's not closing. So he stays in third.
Always a little bit weird how you have to take your racing lines in the RS3 with all the front wheel drive. That these cars have the inside line doesn't always work, and that's a bump to the rear. Jeffrey says, "Get on, Exton, you're too slow for me."
Clearly a better exit for Stefan Jeffrey there. Jacob Exton, as he comes up to Cops. Can he do better through a quicker corner now? Chucks it in, car very wiggly into there, and Jeffrey much more confident off the corner. Are they going to go too wide? This will be the second case we've seen for this. Will it end as badly? No, because Jeffrey makes it through.
Yeah, I actually thought that Jeffrey's gonna run a little bit too wide into Beckett, but he held it very nicely. Normally, as I said, that's not the best line you can take because you want to have that little bit of a wider line to have all the traction you need for the acceleration and the turning. But here now comes X, and that's a good run for him. Has to take the outside line. That might also be the preferable line here through Stoke Corner. Let's have a look. He dives it in very deeply. Is now on the mouse, but there he comes now. And he actually wasn't able to get on the power. So that's interesting. Maybe Exton has reduced up a little bit his front tires.
I mentioned it's cool here. Oh, is once again into the back of him. So, elbows out, boys.
Touring car racing at its best. Elbows out, that's how you drive it.
I always love getting to see these cars here on iRacing because it certainly does seem to mimic what the real ones put on. The drivers can get a little rough and get away with it. Speaking of getting away, Jeffrey managing to pull a little bit of a gap now to Exton. Going to be joined by David. Behind them, we've had a nice little tussle between Shaughnessy and Melvin that we've checked in on before. We've got it on screen now. That's Melvin and the red and white machine you see, the number 36 giving chase.
Also, they have already touched a few times since we looked away, so they also are very much in the spirits of the touring cars, nearly touching again there with Melvin and Shaughnessy running wide, and the lines crossing there a little bit. Shaughnessy once again very wide there, and Melvin a little bit too much thunder footing there on the front wheel drive. Spins his tires, loses a lot of traction, and nearly goes on the grass there.
It certainly took it quite wide coming out of Aintree. Down into Brooklands. Shaughnessy's going to stay safe. Not missing anything up at the front of this class or the other one. Herrera's not been able to close in on Morad. So that battle for the podium has stayed put. This is really our best fight currently out on track.
I will tell you what, we don't have to go to him, but you mentioned Herrera trying to close in on Morad. He has cut that down by about 1.2 seconds. It was about 2 seconds a couple laps ago. Now it's less than 1 second. Now it's about 9/10. So we'll have to keep an eye on that while we watch this TCR battle.
Melvin's having a few connection problems here today. Shaughnessy, though, smooth as silk. Oh, but a little slow compared to him down into the Maggots-Beckett sequence. It's not the entry, though. It's the exit of this corner. The hanger straight coming up. Steph, who's got it?
Well, let's see. Shaughnessy with a good run, but the better run right now to Melvin, who is, by the way, sporting the Audi GTO livery. He's racing in the Audi Quattro. He goes to the inside. Shaughnessy not going to defend that one. Also reach him in the R8 behind. He waits for these two guys. And no, never mind. He's actually diving to the inside. Even going onto the grass there. Doesn't really wait for these guys to battle it out. But that gives the position over to Michael Melvin, who finds himself now inside the top 10.
Textbook move from the 36 there. Not really any points for it, but a source of pride, I'm sure, as the Club Atlantic driver now sets his sights ahead. Looking at our leader in the GT3s, the number 32.
Sorry, speaking about GT3s, Herrera just got a not a stop and go, a slowdown penalty.
Yeah.
Driving through Chapel, he just had to give up the position to Latifi.
All right, so now the cash is in the hands of the number 19. So if he's not getting a paycheck from Williams right now, he'll be able to stuff his pockets a little bit. As he comes across the line one more time, he's got to hold on to this for just 3 more minutes. Latifi showing him how it's done.
That reeled in the battle right behind him for 5th place, too, between Roland and Romagnolo.
And Romagnolo, if I know him, he's not going to sit around. He's going to be aggressive on this to try and take this spot away. How many laps do we have left here for Cantu?
Probably 2.
Still got a 6-second gap.
Well, guys, one thing we most definitely know about this battle for 3rd place that now also gets joined by Roland and Romagnoli, as we said, Latifi is going to defend that position like he's driving a rocket.
Yeah, he's going to have his hands full, though, because one of the former leaders of this race, Herrera, who we know is strong, and then, as I mentioned, Romagnolo back there. 3 drivers he's going to have to fend off. And I think we're going to get the white flag next time by for Cantu. It'll be a little tight.
Just don't know if any of them goes in through Maggots and Beckett's. Looks like Herrera might be close to Latifi. That might be the closest of the pairings.
And that'll be very tempting for Herrera as they go by Steinhausen, who stays out of the way. But Herrera's not going to get the run. Meanwhile, we are indeed getting the white flag for Carlos Cantu. He comes across the line with less than 2 minutes to go. He's going to get held up a little bit. Oh, that was slightly scary with Reynard going around the outside of that final turn. How is this battle for third gonna go? Ooh, Herrera's slow. Did he get a slowdown penalty? He did. Alex off the final corner, I'm guessing, cutting it a little too far outside. So now it's Roland's turn. 8/10 up to Latifi. He's got some time to make up. He has to go by Brian Zinn. That certainly doesn't help things, but doesn't lose too much in the exchange.
Herrera also lost a spot out to Roman Yolo. Lost 2 spots there.
He is paying dearly. So Herrera, who was potentially looking at a top 3, now falls to 6th.
How aggressive Roland is trying to get to the back of Latifi.
Chasing hard. He could have this if he gets a decent run. Latifi is going to have to be picture perfect here at the end. Also need to watch out for Waring, who's going to be about half a lap behind them, taking the victory up there potentially. Maggots and Beckett's, a little bit of that lap traffic once again, flashing the lights at the TCR, letting them know they're coming. This could be the last best opportunity. He's close. He's very close. I don't know if it's enough, though.
Latifi's going to try to break the slipstream down the hanger straight.
And I don't think he's there. Roland looks a little too far behind unless we get a mistake here through the traffic. We got to go to Cantu, who is now coming through Vale and Club. Down to the line, Carlos Cantu coming from 5th on the grid and finishing the race a little bit off the track. Meanwhile, Morad going to take 2nd, and Roland fell off. Did he get a slowdown as well? Latifi getting a podium here today at home track for his F1 team.
Roland going to just be able to hang on there over Roman Yolo and further back Herrera.
Andrew Waring, man, he had a handicap in qualifying, and he showed that was not a fluke. He's got 10 seconds and only a 30-minute race over Stephen Jeffrey, who currently runs P2. TCR handles the Maggots-Beckett sequence. Looks confident and smooth. Onto the hanger straight now for the number 37. Andrew Waring is looking like a man to beat. We've seen him race over in the majors. Now he hops over here, and the Canadian is going to take a handy victory here today in round 3 of the Racing Edge Sim Racing Series into Vale. And then one more corner, the long right-hander of Club. Andrew Waring pulled a flag today for the number 37. Stephen Jeffrey. Not a quiet run, but once he got to the end, it was nice and cool for him. The 249 also taking some money home today, and Jacob Exton rounding out the podium in those TCRs. I believe that's going to be it for our battles coming to the line. We've got more to come here on our show today, so stick around because the post-race show will, of course, include driver interviews as well as the unofficial results. But before we get there, watch the screen because you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Silverstone. We just watched round 3 with the Racing Edge Sim Racing Series, and Carlos Cantu took the victory from 5th on the grid. Now, some of that was a little bit of attrition, but nobody could catch him once he was up at the front. Daniel Moorhead brought it home in 2nd place with Nicholas Latifi. Yes, that Nicholas Latifi, the F1 driver, finishing 3rd from 10th on the grid. I think he's getting a handle on this sim racing thing. Nick Rowland finishes 4th, even though he was on the pole, but granted, he was kind of, unceremoniously dumped at one point in this race, so that isn't really reflective of his speed. Giuliano Romagnolo finished 5th today from 12th, another one climbing forward. Ethan Simeone taking 6th, with Alex Ellis finishing in 7th. Tom Empson was P8. Then you've got David Levine in P9, and rounding out the top 10 is Matt Clark. Alex Herrera all the way down to 11th after showing great speed early on. Gavin Sanders was 12th, and Wilhelm Piepers in 13th. Maximilian Jaeger rounds out your field of finishing GT3 cars.
In the TCR class today is Andrew Waring in the number 37, the Canadian. He fends off Stephen Jeffrey there at the end over Jacob Exton in 3rd. That's your podium for the TCRs. Then Paulo Bremen, Maxwell Kittleson in the 46 and the 9 cars will round out the top 5. Then Zachary Shearer will finish 20th place overall on the grid. Curtis Fox will be behind them. Rich Price, Sidney Nye was able to make his way up through the field significantly, but not too much after that. Michael Melvin and Michael Shaughnessy further down the field. 27th, 28th, and 29th overall going to go to Ryan Reynard, Alex Federico, and Brian Zinn. Daryl Timmers, David Schwartz, Christopher Bailey also in the mix. Zachary Veneer, Julian Corazza, and James Ross, I believe, are the last drivers who weren't DNFs in this race. We didn't have too many for such a big field today, Joe.
Absolutely. And it looked like it was a lot to handle with the traffic out there, but not for Andrew Waring, who had, I want to say, pretty much a monstrous gap for such a short race. Andrew, it looked like you felt very comfortable in these TCR cars.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys. They're great cars, good racing, good fun tire model on them. It's a great track. I knew that most of these guys would probably just destroy their tires, so I just kind of coasted throughout the whole race, tried not to get taken out when the R8s were coming by and when some of the TCRs wouldn't get out of the way.
And speaking of those tires, it looked like it was pretty cool conditions, only 77 degrees Fahrenheit on the track surface. Did it take a while to get them kind of into working temperatures?
Yeah, and with these the new tire models, I find that if the way you set the tires up for the first 3 laps is really how they're going to perform for the rest of the race. So we just made sure to take it nice and easy the first 3 laps, and that gave me pretty good pace throughout the whole race.
Obviously, this will put a little bit of cash in your pocket, so that's got to feel good. Do you think you could repeat that when we go to the finale next week?
We'll see. I might move up to the GT class. I didn't expect to race today. I literally just started practicing today, about 2 hours before the race. So, we'll see what I do next week.
Awesome. Well, it certainly was a fun one to watch. You didn't have too many people to battle, it seemed, for yourself. Is there anybody you'd like to thank for the victory?
Yeah, Evolve Motorsport or Evolve Sim Sports. They helped me, kind of coach me and gave me the livery. And then Pro Racing, a bunch of the guys were on Discord, and we were just kind of sharing brake bias, which is the only thing you could change. So it was the support of those guys that we got the win, and in 2nd place as well.
Wow, fantastic stuff to you and Steph and Jeffrey then. And hopefully we'll get to talk to you at the finale.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
It's Andrew Waring, our winner in the TCRs, and looks like we didn't have anybody else show up from our podium, so we'll have to see if we can get Latifi hooked up with Discord and talk to him, because I'd sure love to hear from both him as well as Cantu with his great run to the victory from 5th on the grid, because that is no mean feat, especially in the talent in this series. So we're going to close out with a big thank you to our sponsor once again, and that, of course, is Racing Edge. If you want to put your racing skills to the test on the track, visit racingedge.com and check out the latest listings for race cars and classic cars. From super quick McLarens to vintage Ferraris, racingedge.com will cater for your needs. If you want to learn more about how to get into motor racing, visit racingedge.com/media for more. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get hold of more of her great work. And thanks to the team today, Sean, Stefan, Nick, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. Our Twitter is @GSR Channel. Our Facebook is, of course, Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support us, make sure and check out our merchandise store. It's gsrc.storeandv.com. We got a link in the description below. And don't forget, while you're down there, to make sure and subscribe to our YouTube, because if you see a big red button that says subscribe, that means you haven't done it yet. The next race is going to be at Road America. That'll be Tuesday, May 12th at 4 p.m. Eastern. But don't forget, later tonight, we've got GTE cars racing. And that, of course, will be the TRL GTE series kicking off at 9 p.m. Eastern. Make sure and check out all the upcoming races for other series we have listed on the screen and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.